Warning, the following audio transmission will forever change your outlook on society. You will no longer believe the narrative. You are about to wake up and see things for what they really are. News, facts, and opinions. This is the Doom Daily Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Doom Daily Show. And this is the first ever episode of the Doom Daily Show. Email doomdailyshow@gmail.com. I want to let all of the listeners know that this show was extremely rushed. When I was talking with my lovely and talented producer, we had originally talked about launching the show January 1st, 2025. Getting a perfect intro, getting a perfect outro, acquiring our affiliates, crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's. But so much has happened already in 2024 that I felt we couldn't wait till the election got here. We couldn't wait till the end of the year. We couldn't wait to see what was going to happen next. As we started getting further into 2024, this hair in my ass got bigger and bigger and bigger. And I was like, we got to go April 1st. We got to go April 1st. So I didn't think about it at the time. But when we started putting out these promos that the Doom Daily Show was going to drop on April 1st, 2024, I'm thinking that there's followers out there and listeners of the other shows that I'm on that think this was a joke. That, Jester Dooms is going to pull a good April Fool's Day prank on us and he's going to tell us this new show's coming out and then nothing's going to happen. Well, joke's on you because here's the first episode. Now, for those of you that don't know my background, let me fill you in a little bit. I've been on the It's Doomsday podcast since 2019. I've been doing that show. And that sparked the interest to do this show. We started covering some controversial topics on the show in reference to election things, vaccine things, and a handful of other things. And they basically put us in a corner and said, your growth is done. And since that's where they decided to put us, that's where we're going to grow from. That's it. End of story. Hence, the Doom Daily Show is born. I also part-time host the Beans and Weenie It's Slightly Doom Show. Now, this is a comedy show we do that is going to take your mind off everything that's going on in the world and give you new nightmares in the process. I got into the podcast world primarily from working details, being in my vehicle, and just having nothing to do except listen to podcasts. And this piqued my interest in this world uncontrollably, and it got me involved. I've been on a lot of other podcasts, just as a guest. Didn't have other shows, just as guest on other people's shows. And I've really taken a liking to this world. This is something I really enjoy doing. I've even been doing live in-person events. Really found a calling, so to speak, with this podcast world. So much so that it motivated me to start doing this sort of daily show with you guys. And with this, I want everybody to understand, because this is a daily show, there's going to be so many episodes and they're going to be coming out so fast, you guys got to keep up. So you got to like the show, you got to subscribe to the show, you got to put on auto downloads or auto updates or something, or you're going to miss what's happening, right? And these are going to be short, sweet, 30-minute episodes. Listen to them on the ride to work in the morning, and that's it. Listen to them on the way home from work, that's it. Wait for the next one. You're not going to go back and binge these things. There'll be too many. I'm just going to forewarn everybody right now. So if you're just jumping in and you're starting with the first one, you're going to be here for a while. Maybe just go ahead and skip to the latest one and start listening from there. I am one of these people that if I find a new show, I want to go back and I want to listen from the very beginning. Unfortunately, this is not one of these shows. Also, something I want to address is things will be changing on this show. Intro, outro, ads we run, things like that, because this particular show will be forever improving, evolving. That's what's coming. So the intro you just heard today might not be here in 6 months. The outro you hear today, if you even hear one today, because I haven't even heard one today, may not be here. My producer Scooter, that is helping produce this show, is like the podcast mad scientist. This man knows what he's doing. This show will do fine. It'll do great. I'm not even worried about it. Things are going to go off without a hitch. Now, I want to get into a bit of my background so everybody can understand where I'm coming from with certain things in regards to why my belief system is the way it is. So I've seen really good parts of society. I've seen really bad parts of society and everything in between. I haven't been on this planet very long, but I've been on this planet long enough to know that we are being manipulated and we are being lied to, and we are all in this propaganda machine that is just spinning us around and spitting us out of it when it's had enough of us, or we've had enough of it. And when you listen to the show, you're going to have a deeper respect for the people around you that you thought for years were just spitting bullshit out of their ass. The tinfoil hat wearing people are going to become some of the smartest, most insightful people you know. We'll be right back.
Want to advertise on the Doom Daily Show? Send producer Scooter an email, doomdailyshow@gmail.com. And this 15-second ad slot could be yours.
Now, what does Jester mean by this? What does Jester mean when he says you're going to, have a newfound respect for the tinfoil hat wearer? Okay, let me break this down a little bit for you. The people out there that have been spitting these conspiracies and talking about all the crazy stuff that's going on in the world are the people that have, in fact, been right all along. And I know you're thinking, oh great, Jester's one of these guys too. I want to explain something to everybody really quick. The things that you're seeing in the media today are things we talked about on my other show 4 years ago. 4 years ago, we were saying this stuff was coming. 4 years ago, we were talking about pandemics that didn't happen yet. And we were talking about jabs that would be out there that no one knew about yet. And we talked about all these things. Aside from aliens coming down from the sky and all-out nuclear fallout, those are the only two things that really hasn't happened yet that we covered 4 years ago. And what I find to be so interesting about this is that the current talk show hosts out there and the current media outlets and the current alternative news outlets are all saying exactly what we said 4 years ago is happening right now. I'm hearing people reference Agenda 2030 now. I was referencing this shit 4 years ago and nobody wanted to hear it. Now it's one of the most popular talked about things amongst talk radio. And this is blowing my mind. And for the life of me, it's really hard to put a handle on this. And I listen to some of these hosts on the radio, and to an extent, it gets me pissed off. And it gets me pissed off because I was talking about this and nobody was listening. I was beating people's ears to death with this and no one was listening. Now they're listening, and now they're getting ratings, and now they're getting paid for it, and I did this shit for free. But it's not about the money. It's really not. It's simply about the idea of ears were closed and now they're open. And you know what made them open? What opened them up was everything that we're seeing today. Everything that they're pushing in the media, everything that's going on, they're keeping you in fear on a daily basis of what's to come next. And the crazy thing about this is they're not keeping you in fear to get you to buy a product or to get you to move out of your town or to get you to buy a new car. They're keeping you in fear so you keep listening. And you keep watching the TV, and you keep subscribing to their email list, and you keep signing up for that, $1 a month per subscription to whatever news carrier you have or whatever app you have. Now, I gladly pay money for the Epic Times, and that's where I get a lot of my news from because it's easily categorized in the ad. And this is not an ad for them. I just find the app to be extremely user-friendly. It highlights what I like. It's perfect. For me, Epic Times works. For other people, they might like something else. I know a lot of people just jump on Google and go straight to their news. But we're coming to find now that not all news media outlets are created equal. They're just not. And people are slowly waking up to this. A lot of people are awake to this, but there's still this slow uptick in people being like, oh my God, I can't believe they've been lying to me. And don't get it twisted. You've been being lied to this whole time about almost everything. There is a full-blown agenda. There is a full-blown propaganda machine. And we as citizens are smack dab right in the middle of it. Now, before we continue into this, I wanted to continue more into the show, and I'll end up going off on these tangents every episode. I'm sure that's what'll happen. But because this is a daily show, I want you guys to bear with me, because audio is going to vary every episode. It's going to be different. Sometimes I might be recording the show walking around the house trying to get stuff done. Some days I might be in the car driving down the road trying to get this done. I might be on my lunch break at work trying to get this recorded and sent off to producer Scooter. The audio is forever going to be changing. I put about an hour effort into It's Doomsday podcast a week between recording and editing. That has nothing to do with topic research. I do that on my own time, but actually sitting down to record and edit, that's what goes into that show. The Beans and Weenie is Slightly Doom show. That's producer Scooter puts all the effort in, and I sit there and endure it for 2.5 hours every other week. So understand, with this show coming daily, life gets in the way. For those of you out there that think that I'm some bum that's sitting around talking conspiracies with a tinfoil hat in my grandma's basement, well, number one, I have a full-time job. Number two, I have a part-time job. Number three, I'm also a volunteer, and that sucks up time. Plus, I'm doing 2 other shows. And I'm a father and a husband. So you can imagine my time is very limited. So I have to squeeze things in where I can. This show is set to launch today. As of now, it is midnight, April 1st, and this show is launching today. And we are coming down to the wire recording the very first episode of this show. If that doesn't tell you how crunched I am for time, I don't know what will. I've just worked a 7-day stint. Tomorrow is my first day off. So it's not because there's money problems. It's not because I'm broke. It's simply because I like to keep busy and there's a lot going on and I like to keep going. I don't like to sit still, right? Okay, so we're going to get into some of the things that are taking place in the media and some of the things that have taken place so far in 2024. And I don't really have my segments categorized out tonight, so we're just going to kind of go right off the rip with some of these things. We need to talk about the Francis Scott Key Bridge for a second, okay? For those of you out there that are saying that this was a terrorist attack and throwing every conspiracy at this that you can, I'm going to go ahead and just say stop. For those of you that say, well, why are all the bridges falling now? Well, because it's making media headlines. Why are boats hitting things now? Boats are always hitting stuff, okay? They're always hitting stuff. Boats bump into things all of the time. Sometimes they do minimal damage, sometimes they do maximum damage. It took a while for people to go back and start referencing the Skyway Bridge that fell in Florida back in, I believe, 1980. And what a tragedy that was, due to low visibility of all things. And they've tried to recreate it, and they've done all these things, and you can conspiracy theory that one to death. We'll be right back after this ad.
Jester from It's Doomsday Podcast and the Doom Daily Show here. Do you ever find yourself overloaded with way too much information? Too many logins, too many passwords, too many websites for stuff you like? Yeah, I'm the same way. You don't have to worry about that with the Doom Daily Show and It's Doomsday Podcast. Let's make it simple. Just visit linktree.com/JesterDooms. Add it to your bookmarks. That way, when you need to find the right information, it's right there, under a tap of your finger or a click of your mouse. Go to linktree.com/JesterDooms. Get it, got it, done. Remember, no one has all the answers, but this will provide you with a place to start. linktree.com/JesterDooms.
So with the Skyway Bridge incident that took place back in the 80s, it was a big tragedy. I think it was one of the first times something like that happened where we had very little emergency services prepared for something of that magnitude, right? We didn't have the technology we had back then. Rescuers weren't trained the way they are now. Could more lives have been saved in that instance? Probably not, because of how it happened, the time of day it happened, the situation with the visibility. I mean, the same amount of life would have been lost. Could there have been better early warning systems put in place? Yes, possibly. And that's something that people keep referencing with this. As we've seen things like this before, why wasn't there something put in place? And the answer to that is very, very simple. It happens so few and far between, there's really no need to have anything in place. You don't go and put in multi-million, billion-dollar ship savers in place and bridge savers in place for something that may never happen to a bridge or something that may never happen in a lifetime. This is almost the equivalent of saying, why aren't these large jetliners, why aren't they equipped with parachutes to catch these planes when they start falling out of the sky? Well, the fact of the matter is they really just don't fall out of the sky. It's such a rarity that you see a plane wreck, and that's why it makes major headline news. Because they suck you in. This is a story you don't hear about all the time, so you want all the details. You're glued to the TV, you're glued to the radio, you're Googling everything you can about it because it's so rare and it's so few and far between. The same goes with this particular incident. They are so few and far between that the media is sucking up every resource that they can to get information out there on it, and they keep rerunning the same headlines over and over again, and they will until they start losing ratings where people don't care anymore. And then they'll move on to the next best thing. See, they don't care about supplying you with the correct information. They care about supplying you with information to keep you glued to the screen, to keep their ratings up, because that's how they make money. They could give a shit less if the information they're giving you is correct and accurate. They don't care. And there's very few radio hosts out there. There's very few podcasters out there. There are very few individuals who are going to give you the straight honest facts and the straight honest truth. Now, to continue into this ship, a lot of people are saying things like there were charges on the bridge that made the bridge fall. I don't believe that. There's a lot of people out there that's saying that the boat was hacked and that's what happened. Again, I don't believe that. I don't believe someone remotely hacked that boat and sent it into that bridge support. The boat was too old. There was no remote computerization of that ship, but people are now so in tune to put a spin on something after what we've seen in this country and what we've seen take place that our brains automatically gravitate toward what aren't they telling us now? What conspiracy is behind this? Who is the man behind the curtain? Why did this happen? That's what's now taking place in this nation because it's happened so much. When the pandemic first hit, I took it very serious that we needed to be concerned about this. And I had not everybody, but I had a lot of people tell me, Dooms, you're crazy. Like, it's just the flu. Don't worry about it. It's going to be fine. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take this seriously until I know what it is, because until I know what it is, I feel that I don't necessarily need to be in fear of this, but I need to respect what this is. And then whenever I started to figure out, there's a lot of propaganda with this, the media is blowing this shit out of proportion. Then whenever you started Googling things and finding these made up numbers of deaths, and then, after everything was said and done with, not one municipality, not one city, not one state, nobody reported a record number of deaths. But yet this was killing everybody. But nobody reported a new record number of deaths due to COVID. Isn't that crazy? And then we saw where things fell. We saw where the dominoes fell after the fact. And what's funny is it took a lot of these things to happen for people to start waking up. People had to be put in such a shitty, deep down, horrible scenario for them to actually be like, well, shit, I'm awake now. What's going on? What did I miss? What happened while I was asleep? Now they're waking up. And now they're seeing things for what they absolutely are. And this does two things. Number one, this makes people make smarter choices and better decisions. Number two, it puts people in a tremendous amount of fear. But fear for the media and the government is good. They want you to be in fear. And one goal of this show in particular is to try to take that fear away. Let you see things for what they really are. Because you don't need to be scared of some invisible virus you can't see or some jab you didn't take. You need to be scared for what they're not telling you, what is coming. You need to start reading between the lines. And that's what I do. And I'm going to bring you these stories every day that I possibly can after I have read between the lines. Now, being that this is more of an introductory episode to the show, it's a little bit more relaxed and it's a little bit more calm. what's coming in this show in the next couple weeks and in the next couple months is going to be outstanding. All I have to say is just hang on, because it's going to get wild. It's going to be a crazy ride. We'll be right back.
Want to advertise on the Doom Daily Show? Send producer Scooter an email, doomdailyshow@gmail.com, and this 15-second ad slot could be yours.
So the one thing I did want to cover in this first episode of the show is the immigration and what's going on at the border right now. So everybody out there needs to do me a big favor, okay? As you're talking about the immigration issue in passing with friends, coworkers, or neighbors, everybody needs to start getting on board with referring to this as an invasion, because that's exactly what it is. It's an invasion. Do you have people that are immigrating here with good intentions? Yes, absolutely. But if you think for a second that the cartels and China and criminals and dangerous people aren't taking advantage of the situation and coming in by the masses, if you don't think they're doing that, you're crazy, and that is an invasion. Right now, one of the latest stories I came across is about a caravan of immigrants coming to the U.S., being led up here by the cartels, and what the cartel is doing, and they're not covering this up. And if they are covering it up, if they're trying to, they're doing a very shitty job. Their plan is to bring this latest caravan up here and disperse immigrants to different access points at the border so they all can't be caught. Now, why, just ask yourself this one question. Why is the cartel taking such a big interest in helping people immigrate to the U.S.? You think the cartel just runs around doing good deeds, just doing favors for people? Pretty sure that's not how that works. I mean, they're businessmen, right? They're not just going to do a favor for free. They're obviously benefiting from it. They're obviously getting something out of it. And you're going to see more things like this happening, okay? Other things that are being kind of covered up in the media right now that they're not talking about is the Haitian people coming over to Florida and where they're showing up at. And here's the other thing, that we're going to take this all the way back. We're going to take this back to the Obama administration for a second. If anybody forgot about the earthquake in Haiti, I'm going to refresh your memory a little bit. So we had this wicked earthquake in Haiti, and when this happened, the Obama administration spent a mega shit ton of money to outfit this Red Cross ship to send it down there and help out. Well, what they didn't tell you was they basically used this vessel to transport the Haitian people over to Florida and other different various areas, and they put them all on government housing. Okay, that's what they did. And I know this, and I've seen this firsthand, because I've done work in the areas of Florida where the Haitian people were at. And they're basically given a government income, a government cell phone, government's paying their rent, and they just shipped them all over here. And they didn't really tell anybody about this. I didn't even know this was happening until I met these people in person. And I actually had the pleasure to work with one of these people. And I'm not gonna, name drop anybody on the show, but he was a hell of a good guy. And he worked two jobs, one to take care of himself here in the States and one to send money to his sister and his brother that were still in Haiti. And he would talk about how wrecked it was and how bad it was. Now, he was a police officer down in Haiti, and their police and their military is like one and the same. So it wasn't uncommon for him to be walking around with fully automatic weapons as a police officer. And you want to talk about how they're being taken over down there right now. I'm not saying they were a superpower militarized force, but they were pretty well armed. You wouldn't take these guys over too easy. So think about what kind of forces they were up against, especially to the point where their own people are trying to get the hell out of Dodge. And, just thinking about that in particular, their government is like saying, hey, we're outgunned, and people are taking off, and they're scared, and they're fearing for their lives, and they are just getting the hell out. So how bad are things really there, and how bad are they covering this up in the media, and why don't they want you to know? Is it because our government potentially did damage down there after the hurricane that allowed these crazy people to come in and start taking over? Did we do that? And they don't want people to know about it? I don't know. I haven't did a deep dive into it yet, but it's coming, and more things are to come. And if you're not following, make sure you do on all your platforms. I don't care where you're listening at, Spotify, iHeart, wherever. Drop a follow, drop a like, leave a comment, leave a review. Email doomdailyshow@gmail.com. Enjoy your day. We'll see you tomorrow.
News, facts, and opinions. This is the Doom Daily Show.